Hey, Brandon. How are you?
Hey there, Dottie.
Brandon, do you have any agenda for today or?
This is a meeting without an agenda almost every week. Seems to be our universal.
Okay. So I can like complain about stuff in the meeting freely, not constrained, but any agendas.
We have an entire hour for anything you want to complain about.
Okay. I missed a couple of those meetings, but wanted to check on have you guys talked or made any progress on kind of the authentication challenge?
We were all waiting on you.
Okay. I was playing with some, and I don't want to pick on Docker Hub specifically, but with the kind of the service and the scope part that I receive from the registry. So first of all, like the URLs, like starting with the DNSs for the registry. So if you, let's say, make a request to registry-1 Docker Hub IO, right? Then you get a challenge back and say, hey, you need to authenticate. First of all, I don't get the authentication if I do it without at least /v2 or some proper path after that, right? So if I just ping the DNS, I don't get any challenge. I get either
That
5 or
just got asked recently. I think it was somebody over on Stack Overflow, and yeah, the spec only says v2 is a valid endpoint, and if you dig through a bunch of the code, I don't know if there is an explicit thing on the distribution project for handling the root with any special responses.
And that's fine. Yeah, I can remember that v2 is always the one that. Yeah. Now here is the problem. If I go to v2, right, I don't get a scope back in as part of the challenge, right? Which means that so my assumption is the following. If I do that, I don't get a scope. So the token that I will receive is either only for /v2 or I should be able to do other stuff. Now the question is which one is. So the next thing is like
so before you jump off of that, what scope were you expecting to see?
Well, I would expect to see v2 as a scope, because my expectation is the path to be the scope.
So the scope usually has a repository in it, and that's kind of what's putting in there. If you don't have a repository, there's nothing to put in that field. If you make the authentication request with the lack of scope that it gives you, can you take that token and then authenticate into v2?
Yes, I can do that. Yeah. So, but after that, I start hitting some issue when I use that token to authenticate for other things, which kind of like, and putting the underscore catalog to the side, because that is a mess. That is a complete mess, okay? Because when I try to do that, I get a scope back, which I don't remember. I need to look at my, actually I can eventually run it right now and try to see what I get, but it's doesn't matter. If I use that scope and authenticate and try to get the catalog, I don't get the catalog. I'm still unauthenticated. Now, the next question that I have is for when I do repository stuff. So should the expectation be that you need to actually authenticate for every repository? Or should kind of if you authenticate, let's say for a namespace /star, the token that you receive will work for every repository which is under this namespace. And also, I don't think we have the concept of namespace in OCI, right? So it's a repository slash like slash separated repository path. So those are kind of the questions in my mind. And playing again with kind of Docker Hub, those questions don't get clearer answers.
So I feel like you should review PR number 11. Which does a little bit of this, but I think line 14 that I added in there, which was talking about attempting to use a token that is either expired or received for a different repository or for a different access type. And the example I gave was, let's say you're getting ready to push a manifest, and before you push the manifest, you do a head request. And the registry says to do a head request, you need a GET token. So get the authentication for a GET request, and then you say, okay, I'll go do that. You get the token for a GET request, you return back, say, okay, now give me the head response for this manifest. And it says, yeah, it's not there. And then you say, okay, I'm going to now push the manifest. And the registry says, you don't have authentication to do that. You only got the authentication for a GET request.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So there are a lot of those scenarios, edge cases, stuff like that we need to work out within this group to define.
Okay, I will continue digging on, and right now I haven't even got to kind of pushing manifest because I'm even trying to figure out the whole flow for reading stuff, starting with like the V2, then the catalog, then kind of get the list of the tags and manifest.
Are you trying to re-implement ORAS, or what's going on here? What are you up to?
Well, I'm trying to figure out where ORAS may fail. Let's put it that way. No, I'm just making random requests to registries just to understand where what are the differences, right? That's my main goal right now. But yeah, so I understand that this works in ORAS and so on, but as I told you in the past, we hit some issues, not with ORAS specifically, but other tooling on our side. We were not able to actually pull data from certain registry because they had different flow for authentication.
I have hit those different flows myself, but you are one of the potential reviewers on that PR. So if you hit a LGTM on that one, then we can get that thing merged, and that'll be more of the use cases we make sure that we include inside of our working group.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I'll take a look at that.
This is how I get stuff to go through. You start the question. I'm like, hey, there's a PR that's got your question right there. Delegation at its best. But that only took you 10 minutes. You got another 50 minutes to complain. Any other complaints you want to throw at us? Or anybody else that has other agenda items? Feel free, jump on in.
I don't have any more complaints for today. I'm sorry. that you feel so sad about that now.
That's the first time I've ever heard someone say they ran out of complaints for OCI stuff.
We can do jokes about OCI if you want.
Other than that, typical for me right now, my focus has been a lot of other places other than working on Auth myself. And so I have not had time to go through and do anything in terms of like looking through upstream specs and trying to put together stuff. So no progress for me. My focus has mostly been on trying to get 1.1 hopefully out the door, and the conformance group, and or not, the image compatibility group's been very active. The WASM group has been very active. So every which direction but Auth for me lately. So we will give folks 1 minute to get your request in for anything you want to chat about, and otherwise we can wrap this up early. All right, I hear no other agenda items, no questions, nothing else for us to knock out. So I guess another week until we circle back and see if anybody's had a chance to work on this. Sound good? All right. Have a good rest of your week, and we'll be back here next time.
Thanks, folks.
Thank you.